On my wife's birthday, I rushed back from an out-of-town trip overnight to surprise her. However, the person who opened the door was my male assistant, wearing my bathrobe. "President Blackwood," he stammered, "I came to report to President Jennings about work and accidentally got caught in the rain, so I took a shower. Please don't misunderstand. What is there to explain?" My wife, Sarah Jennings, walked out of the bathroom also wearing a bathrobe. She looked at me with a disdainful expression, her eyes full of disgust. "Aren't you on a business trip? Why are you back?" I was silent for a moment, then shook my head and chuckled softly. "It's nothing. Just came back to get some documents." I casually threw the carefully selected birthday gift into the trash can. Then, I pulled out my phone and sent a message to my lawyer, "Help me draft a divorce agreement." Chapter 1. The two of them stood intimately close, as if no one else was around, completely disregarding my presence. I walked into the study with a blank face. When I came out with the documents I had pretended to need, the two were already lying on the sofa embracing. My assistant, Liam Carter, had his hand under the hem of my wife's bathrobe. Seeing me come out, he reluctantly pulled his hand out. Then, in a provocative gesture, he put his hand under his nose and smelled it, looking at me with an expression of intoxication. "Sorry, President Blackwood," Liam said, his voice dripping with false sincerity. "President Jennings said she just took a shower and was a little cold, so I'm helping her warm up. Please don't misunderstand." What a ridiculous excuse. Before I could speak, my wife, Sarah, glared at me impatiently. "Aren't you here to get documents? Now that you have them, why don't you leave quickly? Do you want me to kick you out?" I felt my breath catch in my throat. Since when did she become like this? I remembered when we first got married, even if I went on a short trip, she would give me all sorts of instructions and reluctantly see me off all the way to the airport. But now, I was just getting a document, and she thought I was being slow. "Fine, I'll leave right away." I turned around, intending to leave just like that, but Liam suddenly spoke, his tone mocking. "President Blackwood, remember to close the door. I'm afraid the noise will be too loud later and disturb the neighbors." I frowned, turned my head, and stared at him intently. After a long moment, I laughed. "You guys should also be quieter. This sofa is quite expensive." Clearly, he had provoked me first, but as soon as I said this, he looked grieved. "President Blackwood, you misunderstood. I'm going to help President Jennings exercise later." Sarah was instantly full of anger. "Ethan, what do you mean by that? He's just kidding. Why are you so agitated?" I laughed ambiguously, but in reality, my heart was in extreme pain. Sarah glared at me fiercely. "If you have any complaints, come at me. What kind of man keeps picking on Liam?" Liam quickly got up. "I'm sorry, President Jennings. Please don't argue because of me. It's my fault. I'll leave now." "No need," Sarah said, pushing him back down against her chest, then looking at me coldly. "Can you stop making trouble every day? Even getting a document has to cause a scene. Are you annoying or what?" I glanced at him one last time, turned my head, and left expressionlessly. The moment the door closed behind me, I felt a dull pain in my chest, so sharp that I couldn't help but bend over, gasping for breath. 5 years. In just 5 years, my relationship with my wife had gone from being intimately inseparable to this state. Is marriage really the tomb of love? After a long while, I recovered, ignored the sounds coming from inside the apartment, and strode away. When I arrived at the airport, I received a text message from Sarah. "Look at you, what do you look like?" Liam rushed over in the rain to report to me about work. What's wrong with me showing him some concern? As a man, can't you be more generous? I stared blankly at my phone. Before I could reply, her impatient call came through. "Are you blind? I sent you a message." Quickly apologized to Liam. "You made him so angry that he's in a bad mood." On the other end of the phone, Liam sighed pretentiously. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm really hurt." I sneered, hung up the phone directly, and turned off my device. Chapter 2. This kind of thing wasn't happening for the first time. Ever since Liam joined the company, specially recruited by Sarah as her assistant, her heart had started to unconditionally favor this big boy in his early 20s. Every time I clashed with Liam because of their excessive contact, she would always be biased. It would almost always end with me apologizing to Liam. Half a month ago, I needed to discuss work-related matters with her, but as soon as I entered the office, I saw them walking out of the lounge, disheveled. Through the gap in the door, I could clearly see that the bed in the lounge was messy. Obviously, something had happened. Normally, even I, her own husband, wasn't allowed to step foot into this lounge to rest. I was completely stunned, wanting to explode. The words were on the tip of my tongue, yet I couldn't say anything. Facing my questioning gaze, Liam smiled nonchalantly. "President Blackwood, don't misunderstand. President Jennings is too tired from work and her spine is uncomfortable. I was just giving her a massage." I wanted to believe him, but a man and a woman alone together in a room, a messy bed, disheveled clothes, no matter how you look at it, it's easy to misunderstand, right? Afterwards, I sullenly mentioned this incident to Sarah. I told her that she was, after all, a married woman and should keep some distance from other men. But Sarah flew into a rage. "What are you implying? I work myself to the bone every day and Liam kindly gives me a massage. How does it become twisted when it comes from your mouth? Is there anything else in your head besides dirty thoughts?" I couldn't help but argue back. "What do I mean? You two alone in a room, is that something you can even talk about openly?" Sarah got even angrier, started throwing things, and said I was just suspicious of her. We broke out into a fierce argument. From her behavior at the time, I suspected she must be guilty, otherwise, she wouldn't have been so agitated. But lacking evidence, and because I still had feelings for her, I let it go. As time passed day by day, I pretended nothing had happened until the project was finalized. The day before I left on this business trip to inspect the site, the company held a banquet to celebrate and send me off. During the banquet, Liam got completely drunk. Sarah, as my wife, not only didn't think about taking care of me but instead sat next to Liam, deflecting drinks for him in every way. Colleagues saw this scene and all looked at me, some with ridicule but more with sympathy. I pretended not to see anything and continued to enthusiastically encourage everyone to eat, drink, and be merry. I don't know if it was because of my tolerance, but after the party ended, Sarah volunteered to take Liam home and didn't come back all night. When she came home early the next morning, she explained to me that she just took care of him overnight and nothing happened. But the missing stockings on her legs and the dense kiss marks on her chest all screamed that last night was intense. Still, I chose to ignore it. I consoled myself, perhaps they were just mosquito bites. But everything that happened tonight makes me feel like a complete idiot. Time and time again I believed her. Time and time again I forgave her. What I got in return wasn't understanding, but things just getting progressively worse. She actually brought her little lover directly back home. That was the marital home that she and I had worked so hard to buy when we got married. It was our sanctuary, symbolizing our love. She brought another man to stay the night. Even if I am an idiot, even now, I can't convince myself to believe that nothing is going on between them. From the beginning, from dating to marriage, throughout this long relationship, I was always the one who compromised. After all, relationships always have friction and arguments. In a marriage, someone always has to be willing to take a step back. Since she wasn't willing, then I would. But my repeated compromises just made her take advantage of me. Since that's the case, then there's no need to step back anymore. I choose to leave. Chapter 3. I met Sarah in university. She was quite a celebrity in school back then. Because her parents divorced early, she grew up with her mother. Perhaps because her mother was busy with work, discipline was not strict, only providing her with ample material things. This made her spoiled, willful, and unreasonable. Almost no one was willing to approach such a person, including me. She was a headache for teachers, so of course, I kept my distance. But for some reason, maybe because I was a model student in everyone's eyes, Sarah set her sights on me. Not only did she invite me to meals every day in various ways, but on weekends she would even take me for drives. Gifts for various holidays never stopped. Although I politely refused everything, she remained persistent. I asked her the reason. Her answer was, "Because you are a good person." Others either despise me or covet my money. Only you are different. I just want to have a normal friend. That moment of loneliness made my heart clench. I thought maybe everyone misunderstood her. Her being spoiled and willful was just a layer of armor with thorns, but in reality, her inner self was soft and she longed to connect with others. Thinking of this, I smiled and nodded to her. Okay then, from today on, I am your friend. By the way, my name is Ethan Blackwood. Sarah smiled, and it was the first time I realized that a girl could look so beautiful when she smiled and cried at the same time. From that day on, we became the best of friends. We studied together, went to the library, and took walks on the playground. She would also take me off campus to go racing, horseback riding, and ice skating. My friends all thought I was crazy, and even teachers advised me to stay away from such a bad student. Everyone thought Sarah was just playing around with me and would naturally get bored. But I could see that she was sincere in treating me well. The more I interacted with her, the more I felt sorry for her. Although she was rich, she was very lonely. She had no father since childhood and didn't have a single true friend by her side. She deserved to be loved. For her sake, I even gave up my qualification for direct recommendation to graduate school to graduate with her. Sarah was very grateful and invited me to work at her mother's company. It was also this opportunity where I met her mother, that famous powerful woman, Mrs. Jennings. In her villa, Mrs. Jennings held my hand, tears streaming down her face. Ethan, thank you for always being with Sarah. She has really changed a lot. I can see that she likes you very much. I am an unqualified mother. I beg you to stay by her side. I only want her to be happy. She was a great mother. I couldn't refuse a mother's heart worried about her daughter. Plus, I also genuinely had feelings for Sarah, so I accepted her invitation and stayed at her company. Later, I found out that Mrs. Jennings had already been diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer. At that time, knowing that her days were numbered, the only thing she couldn't let go of was her daughter. In her dying moments, she called me to her bedside, held my hand, and repeatedly begged me to treat her daughter well. After I promised, she passed away with a smile. To fulfill my promise to Mrs. Jennings, Sarah and I got married. Sarah didn't like busy work. Nominally she was the president, but in reality, I handled almost all the company's affairs, big and small. Regarding this, I worked hard without complaint. After all, I truly loved her to the bone. At that time, every time I worked overtime late into the night when I was exhausted, she would gently massage me and whisper in my ear, "Husband, you've worked hard." While massaging, she would also comfort me, "It's okay. When you can't work anymore in the future, I will protect you. I will absolutely not let anyone hurt you." But now, she herself has become the person who hurt me the most. Chapter 4. I returned from the business trip half a month later. The company held a welcome-back banquet for me. At the dinner table, Liam, who arrived late, very naturally sat down next to Sarah in the empty seat specifically left for him. The atmosphere, which was originally quite lively, instantly cooled down. Everyone fell silent as cicadas in winter, and all eyes fell on me. In the past, I would have definitely flown into a rage. But now, I just smiled and casually found an empty seat to sit down. From beginning to end, I didn't say a single unnecessary word. Everyone present, except for the two of them, breathed a sigh of relief. But in fact, they didn't need to worry at all because during this business trip, I had already figured things out. I didn't care anymore. Just as everyone was suggesting a toast, Liam suddenly stood up. "President Blackwood, you truly are the pillar of the company. This successful collaboration is at least half due to your efforts. I toast you with this glass to thank you for bringing such great profits to the company." Having said that, he tilted his head back and drank it all in one gulp. I finished mine. "You can do as you please." I sat in my chair with no intention of moving at all. Sarah was unhappy when she saw this. "Liam is toasting you and you're holding your glass without moving. Are you not giving him face, or not giving me face?" I calmly glanced at her. So, she's already taking sides. I just took cephalosporin. I can't drink alcohol. Who are you kidding? Sarah didn't believe it. Knowing there was a welcome-back banquet today, you intentionally took antibiotics, right? I sighed, feeling extremely tired of her unreasonable behavior. I picked up my chopsticks, just about to eat something to fill my stomach, when Sarah suddenly slammed the table. "Ethan Blackwood, are you deaf?" The private room instantly became quiet, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone looked at us with embarrassed and nervous expressions, not daring to even breathe loudly. Just then, Liam spoke up. President Jennings, don't be angry." He stood up, holding another glass of wine, and walked towards me. "President Blackwood, this glass of wine, you have to drink it today whether you want to or not. I'm sincerely apologizing to you. You can't make me lose face, can you?" I looked up, giving him a look that was both smiling and not smiling. I said I took antibiotics. "Can't you understand human language?" Having said that, I raised my hand and knocked over the wine glass he offered. The wine immediately spilled all over him. This time, Sarah completely lost her composure. "Are you crazy?" She rushed over. "Do you think that just because you negotiated a project successfully you can be fearless and unrestrained?" "Fearless and unrestrained?" I shook my head and chuckled softly. "Think whatever you want." My attitude made her feel even more provoked. She raised her hand, picked up a wine bottle from the side, poured a large glass of wine, and handed it to me. "You won't drink Liam's toast. You can't refuse to drink mine, right?" Her eyes were like knives, her tone full of threat. "If you don't drink, pack your things and get out immediately. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come to the company anymore." Everyone was in an uproar. Everyone knew that this company could be maintained until today, and my contributions were indispensable. Unfortunately, Sarah didn't seem to see this point. Facing her aggressiveness, I smiled. In front of everyone, I took out the resignation letter I had already prepared. "I won't drink. This is my resignation letter. Starting tomorrow, I will no longer work with you all." Chapter 5. After hearing my words, Sarah was stunned, her eyes full of disbelief. She probably thought that I would compromise and concede as I always had before. Unfortunately for her, things had changed. "Remember to sign, or things will get ugly in the end," I said hoarsely, getting up to leave. Liam grabbed my arm. "President Blackwood, why bother? President Jennings is just joking with you. Why are you so angry? Get lost." I shook his hand off with a jerk. Other colleagues also came up to dissuade me. "President Blackwood, it's such a happy day, why make it so unpleasant? That's right, you and President Jennings are husband and wife. What can't you talk about?" Before I could speak, Sarah coldly reprimanded them. "Don't stop him. Let him go. Do you think threatening me will scare me?" Liam started pretending to be a good guy again, coming forward to pull me back. "President Blackwood, don't be like this." He leaned close to me, suddenly lowered his voice, and whispered sarcastically, "Your wife is really juicy." I was instantly furious and shoved him away hard. But a hint of triumph clearly flashed in his eyes as he let himself fall. "Ouch!" Liam exclaimed, hitting the ground dramatically. Sarah was trembling with anger at the sight and rushed over to push me away. "Are you trying to kill him? Today, everyone get out of here." At her command, everyone immediately breathed a sigh of relief and quickly fled the room. Even Liam, who wanted to stay to watch the drama, was driven out. When only the two of us were left in the room, Sarah's face was gloomy. "What exactly do you want? Are you trying to make me lose all face in front of so many people?" I couldn't help but sneer. "You also know about losing face. When you made me lose face, why didn't you think about this?" Sarah frowned, seeming to realize something, her tone dissatisfied. "It's about Liam again. Didn't I tell you there's really nothing between me and him? Can you not always be so petty?" In an instant, the string that had been pulled taut in my mind completely snapped. The emotions that had been suppressed for so long burst out. "Yes, I am petty," I roared at her. "I can't stand my wife being ambiguous with another man all day long. I can't stand a man appearing in my home, wearing my bathrobe, flirting with my wife. I can't stand a gigolo provoking me in front of my face all day long." The words that had been accumulating in my heart for a long time were all vented, but I didn't feel any pleasure. Instead, my heart was even more depressed and painful. Sure enough, when you tear open a scar that hasn't healed, it will only bleed more. Sarah was stunned, seemingly not expecting me to suddenly explode. After a long silence, she slowly said, "I thought you didn't mind." I sneered. Not mind. As long as it's a normal person with normal thinking, for his beloved wife to be openly flirting with another man, no one can accept it. Let alone mind or not mind. No man would not mind. Except for me, I continued quietly. I didn't mind before because my heart had been hurt by disappointment again and again. It fell apart. Or rather, I no longer loved you. I took a deep breath and showed her a bitter smile. Sorry. Sorry, I lost my composure. Chapter 6. I turned to leave, but Sarah suddenly pounced on me, tightly hugging my waist from behind. I should be the one apologizing. I'm sorry, husband. I should have been more considerate of your feelings. I promise I will never be with Liam again. No, I'll make him resign tomorrow. Please don't leave, okay? I didn't speak. I just slowly and firmly removed her hands. This wasn't the first time I'd heard these words. When she first specially recruited Liam as her assistant, I was a bit bothered. After all, he was a young man and they would inevitably have too much contact at work. At that time, Sarah hugged me with a smile. Hubby is jealous. If you don't like it, I'll change to a female assistant tomorrow. You are my husband, no one can take me away from you. I was very pleased with this. The reason our relationship had lasted so many years was that we were direct. But she didn't do what she said. She even brought Liam to our wedding anniversary dinner. She said she felt Liam was capable, a good person, and didn't have bad intentions. Oh, why are you getting angry with a kid? Be magnanimous, she had said. At that moment, I was already full of disappointment. Not keeping promises, besides disappointment, there was only disappointment. I didn't say much. Maybe it was my silence that made her even more unscrupulous. Their relationship became increasingly intimate, and they even started having frequent physical contact. My heart sank day by day. I tried to talk to her about it. After all, the employees in the company were also watching and gossiping behind their backs. But Sarah was always impatient with my remarks. You also know I don't like work. I finally recruited an assistant who can play with me, and you still want to control this and that. Don't forget this company is mine. I can do whatever I want. For the sake of this family, for the sake of my relationship with her, I chose to compromise. But then, once there was a problem with Liam's work. I had just called him to the office to correct him when Sarah rushed over after hearing the news. Why are you always targeting him? He's a newcomer, just joined the company. It's inevitable that there will be problems. Why are you nitpicking? I couldn't help but retort, his job is the boss's assistant. If there are any mistakes, it will affect the entire company. Sarah looked disdainful. Then what do you say? Dismiss him. Before I could speak, Liam immediately bowed to me with a wronged expression. I'm sorry, President Blackwood. I know you don't like me. I'll go submit my resignation report later. Please don't argue with President Jennings. This gesture immediately made Sarah feel sorry for him, pointing at my nose and scolding, are you only happy when you force someone to death? Liam literally came to this city to make a living alone. It's not easy. How can you have no sympathy at all? After speaking, she pulled Liam away, and the matter was dropped. It was precisely because of such precedents that I no longer had any trust in her. No need to apologize, I said to the sobbing woman holding me. Let's go our separate ways. From now on, each living our own life. Hearing this, Sarah was dumbfounded. Her face slowly turned pale without a trace of blood, and her voice trembled. You mean you want to divorce me? Looking at her red eyes, there was no fluctuation in my heart. Yes. I will have someone prepare the divorce agreement later. You just need to sign it then. After saying that, I turned to leave. Behind me, Sarah broke down and cried. Husband. I didn't look back, nor did I hesitate in the slightest. My fate with her was over. Chapter 7. Before leaving the building, the company's deputy general manager called out to me. General Manager Blackwood. You are really resigning." "Yes." The deputy general manager's emotions became agitated. "What about the project? You also know that General Manager Jennings never cares about anything. If this project fails, the blow to the company will be fatal. Can you wait until the project is finalized?" "I'm sorry," I sighed. "I have already secured the project. As for how to do it and when to do it, that's your business. The company is not one person, anyone can continue after someone leaves." "But General Manager Blackwood," I interrupted him. The deputy general manager hesitated for a long time and finally sighed deeply. "In short, General Manager Blackwood, I have always felt it was lucky to work with you, and I hope we will have the opportunity to cooperate again in the future." I had no reaction, just politely responded with a few words. Since I decided to resign, I didn't plan to have any more involvement with this company that belonged to Sarah. Back home, I immediately started packing my things. Inadvertently, I saw the marriage photo placed in the living room. In the photo, the smile on her face was so happy. I was a little lost in thought. Coming back to my senses, I sighed and turned the photo face down. Just as I was about to leave carrying my suitcase, the door opened and Sarah rushed in, looking frantic. Seeing the suitcase in my hand, her eyes immediately turned red, and she reached out to snatch it. "I don't agree. You can't leave." I shook my head and sighed. "Is this interesting? You know I will never regret what I decide. You can stop me for a while, but can you stop me for a lifetime?" "Of course I can." She looked stubborn, hugged me tightly, and raised her head to kiss me. I pushed her away in disgust. She was stunned, tears falling like broken strings of beads one by one. "Why? Why are you doing this to me?" she roared and collapsed, hitting my chest hard with both hands. I looked at her, my face without any expression. "You know the reason, don't you? Why pretend to be innocent?" Sarah was stunned. Yes, she knew the reason. She had always known. But she never thought about changing it, instead, she kept forcing me to compromise. I gently pushed her away and pulled my suitcase to leave. Sarah didn't stop me again, but at the moment I went out the door, she collapsed to the ground covering her face, her shoulders trembling slightly. Chapter 8. After leaving, I found a rental apartment to settle down and started sending out resumes everywhere. My resume was decent, so many companies sent interview invitations. I didn't agree immediately because I had already commissioned a lawyer to help draft the divorce agreement. I wanted to wait until Sarah signed it before starting a new job. Unexpectedly, the next day I received a file from Sarah. Inside were chat logs and voice messages that had been redacted beyond recognition. Looking at those nonsensical dialogues, I didn't know what she wanted to express. Could it be that she intended to use these flawed chat screenshots to tell me that she didn't cheat? I couldn't help but sneer. This kind of clumsy cover-up wouldn't even fool a child. After that, she sent many photos again. They were our group photos from before, from all different periods of time. Photos from when we traveled, when we got married, even from university. Looking at the scenes of the past, my expression became a little dazed. It turned out that she and I had also had times when we loved each other so much. She would act like a little girl, snuggling in my arms and acting cute. She would also throw little tantrums at me. On my birthday, she would personally cook, making a table full of colorful and terrible food. But no matter what, these were all beautiful memories. But sadly, things change. Everything could no longer go back. I was silent for a while and deleted these photos one by one. Since I had made up my mind to leave, there was no need to reminisce about the past. It was meaningless, just a waste of time. When the lawyer sent the divorce agreement to me, I called her. "The divorce agreement is ready. I'll come to your company to find you." She didn't speak. She was silent for a long time before hanging up the phone. I looked at the divorce agreement. The lawyer, according to my request, listed me as leaving with nothing. I don't want anything, just consider it as putting a period on our love. I picked up a pen and wrote my name stroke by stroke. During the process, scenes from the past kept flashing in my mind. The first time we met, the first hug, the first kiss. For her, I gave up my qualification for postgraduate recommendation, and she scolded me for being a fool. In front of Mrs. Jennings' sickbed, I earnestly promised her that I would love her for a lifetime. As the last stroke was finished, a teardrop fell on the paper, blurring the ink. Those past memories, the beautiful parts, one will seal away, the sad parts, one will discard. But I will not turn back, nor is it possible to turn back. Everything should end. I wiped my slightly moist eyes, picked up the divorce agreement, and went straight to Sarah's company. Arriving at the company, Sarah seemed to have instructed the staff, so I went all the way through unimpeded. Reaching the office, I took a deep breath, opened the door, and went in. Sarah was sitting at her desk. In just 3 days, she had become unusually haggard. She was simply like a different person. Seeing me, a smile even uglier than crying appeared on her pale face. "You've come." I nodded, stepped forward, and put the divorce agreement on the table. "Take a look. If there are no problems, then sign it." Sarah didn't look at it. Her eyes, slightly red, stared fixedly at me. "Does it really have to come to this? You should know I love you." I lowered my head without saying a word. It was an established fact, there was no need to argue about anything. She may have really loved me, but that love had already deteriorated a long time ago. "Sign it," I said. Chapter 9. There's no need to waste any more time. Sarah's tears flowed uncontrollably as she almost tremblingly opened the divorce agreement. Just as she was about to sign, the office door opened. It was the company's vice president, Director White. "Director Blackwood." "That project." Seeing me, he was very surprised. "Great, you're finally back." "That project is giving me a headache." "Quickly." "I'm not back to resume my position," I interrupted him. Then I looked at Sarah. "Sign quickly. I still need to go to an interview." Sarah took a deep breath and closed the agreement. "I can sign. But you have to agree to a condition first." "Condition?" I frowned. "I've already agreed to leave with nothing, and you still have the nerve to ask for a condition." Sarah bit her lip. "The project you negotiated before is very important to the company. As long as you are responsible for completing the project, I will agree to the divorce and guarantee never to bother you again." She paused and then continued to add, 10% of the project's profits I can give to you." I nodded. "Okay." Having said this much, there was no reason to refuse, especially since I really needed money. However, right after I nodded in agreement, Sarah directly brought Liam in. "Next, Liam will be your assistant to help you complete the project throughout." I looked at her calmly, and after a long while, smiled sarcastically. "What? You want me to train someone for you?" Sarah lowered her head guiltily and stammered, You are going to resign." "I have to leave someone in the company who can take on important responsibilities, right? Liam is a graduate of a prestigious university. As long as you don't deliberately hold back, he will definitely surpass you." I shrugged my shoulders, not wanting to continue arguing about this issue. Liam gave me a smug smile. "Director Blackwood, please give me lots of guidance." I ignored him, took the project materials, and turned to leave. Chapter 10. In the following days, I started to focus on the project. After all, I had already taken it over, so there wasn't much difficulty. Liam, on the other hand, was very proactive, bustling around me, acting humble and eager to learn. Although I didn't know what he was up to, I didn't bother to hide anything. Not out of generosity, but because it wasn't necessary. Sarah also changed her ways, picking me up and dropping me off from work on time every day, and thoughtfully preparing lunch boxes for me. Unfortunately, her cooking was as inedible as ever. In the past, because I loved her, I might have gritted my teeth and endured it. But now, I directly threw the lunchbox into the trash in front of her. "You call this food? Is it fit for human consumption?" She cried pitifully, looking deeply hurt. I didn't feel anything because everything she was doing now was meaningless except for self-pity. The day of the project launch arrived quickly. In order to enhance the company's reputation, Sarah specially invited prominent figures from the business world and held a banquet. The guests congratulated Sarah one after another and toasted her. Sarah accepted everyone's toasts, and soon her cheeks were flushed and she looked at me with blurred eyes. Facing the praise from the people around her, she shook her head. This is all thanks to my husband." She waved at me. Husband, come here. I frowned and didn't go forward. I noticed that Liam, who had been standing behind me, had disappeared at some point. I vaguely felt something was wrong. Sure enough, after the representative of Party A took the project proposal, his face changed. What's wrong? Sarah asked in confusion. The representative's mouth twitched, and he looked at Sarah with mockery. I didn't expect, President Jennings, that you're quite the player behind the scenes. But what are you trying to express by putting this kind of thing in the project proposal? We are here to discuss cooperation, not to admire your figure. Sarah was dumbfounded. Without caring too much, she snatched the project proposal and looked at it. Her face showed pure shock. Was there a problem with the project proposal? I frowned and went forward. I had prepared this project proposal myself, so it shouldn't be wrong. But as soon as I looked at it, I was stunned. On the first page of the project proposal, there was a photo. The subjects of the photo were Sarah and Liam lying naked in bed, their postures intimate and suggestive. Before I could figure out what was going on, Liam suddenly appeared, pointing at my nose with a shocked expression. President Blackwood. Don't you think this behavior is too despicable? I know you are eager to divorce President Jennings and jealous that I completed the project alone, but you can't use such dirty tricks to smear us, right? How will she be able to face people in the future? Sarah looked at me, her eyes full of disappointment and anger. You actually. Ethan, was it really you? Of course it was him. Liam shouted. He prepared this project proposal. Who else could it be? Ethan, you're a veteran employee of the company. How could you be so unprofessional? Sarah questioned me angrily. Why? You're deliberately retaliating against me, aren't you? What's the point of talking to him? Liam said with contempt. President Jennings and I have a normal superior-subordinate relationship, but because you're narrow-minded, you're full of suspicion. Not only do you want to divorce, but you also want to destroy President Jennings with your own hands. You're simply heartless. A woman as good as President Jennings was blind to marry you. Sarah couldn't hold back any longer and pounced on me, hitting my chest. But after a few blows, her eyes rolled back and she fell to the ground clutching her chest, her face full of pain. President Jennings. Liam hurried to help her up and loudly ordered the security guards. Throw him out. The eyes of other people present were also full of contempt. Alas, you can know a person's face but not their heart. A long-term marriage will eventually end up like this because of suspicion. No matter what, you shouldn't use such means to retaliate. It's too vicious. The security guards rushed over, but when they met my cold gaze, they didn't dare to act. Liam shouted loudly, "What are you hesitating for? Hurry up and throw him out." I sneered, looking at him like a clown. In this society, it's not about who has the loudest voice who's right. Why are you so eager to smear me? Feeling guilty. Liam's eyes flickered. What guilty? Besides you, who else would have the opportunity to get close to the project proposal and do such a despicable thing? I took out my phone. I'm also very curious. I installed surveillance cameras in the office in advance. Now let's bring the footage up and see who did it. Chapter 11. Liam panicked instantly and rushed forward to snatch my phone. I raised my foot and kicked him to the ground. This display made it clear to everyone present, even idiots, what had actually happened. It's you. Sarah said, her eyes red, staring fixedly at Liam. Liam waved his hand desperately. Why? President Jennings, you listen to my explanation. Sarah directly swung her hand and slapped him hard across the face. Throw him out. The security guards immediately grabbed Liam. His eyes were full of resentment as he looked at me, gritting his teeth. You were guarding against me from the start, weren't you? I smiled slightly. How could there be surveillance cameras in the office? You're just guilty. Liam was stunned, and when he came back to his senses, he was flushed with anger. You. I'm going to kill you. But the security guards beside him didn't give him a chance to struggle, forcibly throwing him out. I couldn't help but shake my head. This is probably what they call lifting a stone to drop it on your own feet. Sarah looked guilty. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you. It's all right. I sent the real project file to her. Remember to sign the divorce agreement. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau gate at 9 tomorrow morning. My task was completed, no need to waste time. Sarah's breath hitched. She was silent for a moment before nodding. Okay. At the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Sarah was wearing a white dress, the one I gave her when we first got together. She always thought it was too plain and didn't like to wear it. Wearing it now, the reason was self-evident. After receiving the divorce certificate, she gently hugged me. Thank you. It's me who is sorry to you. You deserve better. After speaking, she turned and left. I looked at her back, then turned and left as well. 3 days later, a lawyer came to my door. Mr. Blackwood, I am Ms. Jennings' lawyer. Before she left, she transferred the shares of her company under her name to you. This is the transfer agreement. Please sign it. Also, Ms. Jennings left a letter for you. I was silent for a moment and took the letter from the lawyer's hand. I opened it, and inside there was only a short sentence, "Goodbye, Ethan." I signed the agreement and, after seeing the lawyer off, I pulled out her number from the blacklist and sent a message. "Goodbye, Sarah."